that way.
No one tells you that being an adult is just walking around feeling like a fraud. You know? Who gave me a credit card? And how do I cancel my gym membership? What does Congress even do?
But you do know what Congress does, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans tomorrow?
It is intellectually engaging.
Court does not sit to waste its time. If you have no defense, it chases you.
It is a ruling on the foundations. Business has been conducted in a certain way.
Banks take money from us, depositors. All of us seated here have got money in the bank. And even before you walk out, they've given that money to somebody else.
Deeply incisive.
Here is a credible alternative political force.
Let's get into this election and let's choose right.
Through that vote that you will contribute towards building a new Uganda.
Authentically symbolic and insightful.
We should work so hard to evacuate this power.
Behind the headlines, every Wednesday at 10 p.m. with Charles Odongtho.
A very welcome.
Probably the most experienced talk show moderator in Uganda, with a team of illustrious panelists. Honorable Abdul Katuntu, a seasoned legislator, politician, and senior lawyer. Honorable Margaret Mohanga, a veteran journalist, legislator, entrepreneur, and development consultant. And Ramadan Gobi, an economist and university don.
There is no country which has lost, which has failed or has had collapsed democracy when it is above $6,000. So,
all on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
A very good evening and warm welcome this evening. This Wednesday, the 13th of January 2021, we have left 2020 and now we are in 2021, the year of our election. And tomorrow is poll day, so we expect all of you to report to who are registered duly, to report to the polling stations and do the needful as a a dutiful citizen. This evening, probably by now you have seen, we have a different set of of studio, and this is also to officially launch the election hub that from here you will from tomorrow be getting all the election updates from across the country. We have a team dedicated to bringing you all updates from every corner of this country tomorrow when Uganda goes to a general election. 11 presidential candidates who have all completed the campaigns successfully, I must say, and we thank God, and they will be contesting, and one person will by the end of tomorrow be gunning, or expected to take over. This evening, though, we are going to be looking at the role of Ugandans in ensuring a successful election, and that election is the election we're talking of tomorrow. And to discuss that, we have a team of illustrious panel that has been put together, a team of senior Ugandans, and that are going to be discussing this. I will start with, in no particular order, we have Dr. Margaret Chigozi. She is a medical doctor, a business consultant. Many people knew her as the executive director of the Uganda Investment Authority. Doctor, you're most welcome to the show, and it's good to see you.
Thank you very much, Charles. I am happy to be here. Ugandans, good evening.
Good to see you, and you're welcome. Next on her right is Honorable Yonasani Kanyomozi. Many people knew him or know him as Yona Kanyomozi, but he's a former minister, former member of the East African Legislative Assembly. He is now involved in business consultancy. Honorable, you're most welcome to Behind the Headlines.
Thank you very much for calling me today. I haven't been to you this organization for a long time. Maybe it shows a change that is likely to come.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that. It's good to see you again, Honorable Yona Kanyomozi. And we will definitely be looking forward to hearing from you. Next to, on the right of Honorable Kanyomozi is the Honorable Miriam Matembe, doctor as well. She is currently the chairperson, I think, of SEDU, which is an election monitoring outfit in this country. She will be talking more from that perspective as well. But Dr. Miriam Matembe is a former minister. She was the first minister in charge of ethics and integrity in this government. She is a former MP, and she is right now running to come back to Parliament on the elders ticket. Honorable Matembe, it's good to have you again on this show.
Thank you very much, Charles. I don't think I have ever been on this show. It's just because you remember yourself and myself on
yes,
the other show.
You're right, actually.
Very happy to meet you after such a long time. So I believe I will enjoy this show like we used to enjoy the other one.
Thanks a lot, and it's good to see you again. And finally, the youngest of the panel this evening. Upcoming senior citizen.
Of course.
But Ramadan Gobi is a panelist on this show, and he teaches economics at Makerere University Business School, Nakawa. And good to have you back on the show.
Thank you, Charles. And I'm glad to be on the same panel with some of my idols, my seniors, Dr. Maggie, Honorable Kanyomozi. I've been to several panels with some of them.
Yeah.
So I'm not so scared of having a conversation with them.
Don't be, don't be. I will ensure that at least you're comfortable. If you want to join this discussion, by now I think I can't say you should join us through Facebook. I would be lying. I won't tell you that. Because the YouTube is on. But at least we are streaming live through YouTube. And you can join us through UBC Television Uganda on YouTube. And if you want to send a question, a quick one, find a way of sending it through my phone, which I've been allowed to use to receive your messages on 772-461-429, on 0772-461-429, if you want to ask this gentlemen and ladies, a question on the discussion that is going on, feel free to do that, and we shall be giving you other platforms on which we can share your concerns so that they can be asked, they can be answered as well. Now, let's start the discussion. Let me start with you, Honorable, Dr. Margaret Chigozi. The elections, the campaigns ended yesterday officially, and what's going on now is, waiting for polling tomorrow. From your perspective, how have you viewed it? Is it, how do you think that in your view, it is going to be a good voting tomorrow, and what message do you want to give to Ugandans given what has been going on through the campaigns?
That's a difficult question, but I'll just share my hopes that we will have peaceful elections. I hope well attended. I hope Ugandans come. I first voted when I was 40. Can you imagine? I was 40. Rama, are you there yet? Were you allowed to vote yet? So I first voted when I was 40. So you cannot keep me away. I was there queuing up even for LC1. You're right. You have a right to have your voice heard through your ballot. So I want to encourage those of you who are registered, come and vote. And let us do it peacefully. Let us at this point trust the Electoral Commission. They've been promising us that they have done all the necessary. They are sound very confident, and they've done it before, so this is not the first election. One is presuming they have improved over the years. They have better technology now. So I just want to encourage Ugandans to let's all go and vote. Vote for the one that you prefer. We have the 11 candidates for president, and then the others you will find on the voting paper that you get. So yes, choose the one you want, and let us know that you did your part. You did your part. That is the best you can do, and then you leave it to the Electoral Commission to read out the results for us. That's what I have to say.
Good. The Honorable Yona Kanyomozi, in your view, what impressions have you got of this process?
Well, the impression I've got that it has been mixed occurrences which are a bit worrying. First, at the nomination time, what we saw when two candidates didn't one came without shoes, another one after nomination was bundled up. That was a bad omen. Then later situations also went on, and we have seen the deployment of security or arms of coercion in various places. I hope people haven't been frightened of that, and that they will have to fulfill their duty as citizens and vote. But there are certain things which have happened. Of course, there is COVID also as a problem, which may scare away people from coming, especially when for example, the head of the police says if you bring what Kenyatta used to call nyoko-nyoko, you will regret why your mother produced you. I mean, I think those things which another one said, if you become, you will see what hooliganism can mean to you. Such things are the things which worry me. But all the same, I hope Ugandans will try and turn up. As I said at the beginning, I said, since I have been given this liberty to come and be in UCB,
UBC.
UBC, that they will also have an opportunity to vote and vote wisely for the person they prefer.
Good. It's interesting. But did that word of Kenyatta, did he used to say it in public or in private?
Very, very much in public.
Was he allowed to say it?
He was a president.
Okay.
And presidents can say anything.
They get away with many things.
Many.
You have reminded me of what is going on in the US.
Yes.
But we will be, those are things we will be discussing. Honorable Matembe, your impressions of this process and what you would wish for tomorrow.
Thank you very much. As you know me very well, I call a spade a spade. And that's how I begin.
Not a big spoon.
Yeah. Elections are supposed to be a process and a means through which people choose their leaders to govern them. They are not supposed to be war. But as you know, the pre-elections environment up to now, as you go to vote, has been warlike. It has been like we are in a war. I reached a stage where I shut up TV. Every time I put on TV, I was getting terribly stressed. Either I expect the Amuriat is being bundled and put somewhere, tear gas, people have drunk it, young children, babies have been killed, people are hijacked, and people are dying. Up to this morning, as I was coming to NTV program, I heard a woman on my radio crying out. The husband was, yesterday he was taken away. He called his friend, they are hijacking me. Come and pick my boda. And the boy went and picked boda. That husband is not seen anywhere. People are crying. The husbands have suffered. I mean, and you quoted the other word of Moi. Me, I want to quote also the usual word we all know. We shall crush them. Crush. There has been a lot of crushing. People have been crushed. There has been fear on the part of those in government, causing fear on the other side of the voters. And so it has been like war and fear and anger and all these kind of things which are not expected to be when people are choosing their leaders. So this is what has been done. The environment has been that kind of environment. Nevertheless, me, you know, I love the Lord. I'm a born-again Christian. And this is what I say. I say, in the physical, we may imagine anything. But in the spiritual, God who gave us this country, whose motto is for God and my country, whose national anthem is, oh God, we put Uganda in your hands, the prayers that we have been making, I want to believe God who says it is not by might or by power, but by the Spirit of the living God. I want to believe that these people who are proud in their might and in their power, and the other people who are saying, you will see us, I want to believe and pray that the Lord may release His Holy Spirit, that it may take over this country and prevail over this country as we go through tomorrow. And I want to appeal to the Ugandans. This is their time to vote. It is their right. Let them be peaceful. Let them have peace in their heart and follow whatever they tell them. If they say, come, vote and go, let them go. Let them be wise. Why should any young person die before his time, when in fact these people who are involved in crushing and killing them have already outlived their time? They have had children. I have had children. I have had grandchildren. I have got a legacy. Even if I die today, but these young people who are dying with nothing and they will be forgotten forever, me, I'm telling them, please, young people, know you are energetic and everything. I know you are hurting and so on, but please mind about your life. Don't die before your time. Keep your peace and be at peace with yourselves and go and vote and follow what they tell you.
Okay, good. Mr. Gobi, your own impression of the process that just ended tomorrow and the other part that we can say starts tomorrow now, that ended yesterday, and the other one that starts tomorrow.
Yes, thank you. I've liked the enthusiasm in this campaign. The younger people have brought a lot of energy and enthusiasm in the campaign. But also, I've realized the fact that Uganda is a very younger democracy. We are still having a lot of things that we must learn and perfect over time. And I understand that, like a human being or anything else, there are processes through which even democracies have to evolve. I know sometimes many younger people in Uganda compare Uganda with the other countries because we watch TV and we see what's happening in the USA. We would want to see what is happening in the USA to happen here. But you know, United States of America is a democracy of 244 years. They started voting and they have been voting uninterrupted since 1776. Uganda is a democracy. Dr. Maggie has told me she started voting when she was 40. And I can say that the uninterrupted bit where Ugandans have been voting is since, I think, 96. I know there was voting before in 80 and also perhaps in some few years before that, but for constant, at least what we call elective democracy, we have had it for about 20 years now, 24 years. So when you compare 24 years with the 244 years, you should really realize that we are still making baby steps. And I would want Ugandans to understand this, not be very harsh on themselves, the way we rate or evaluate ourselves. And also I've gotten the impression that maybe we have not yet made a distinction in Uganda between a disease and a symptom. Sometimes we spend a lot of time discussing symptoms without analyzing the disease. What is causing these symptoms in areas which I'm sure we are going to be discussing. I'm also cognizant of the fact that now we are having over 18 million Ugandans on the register of Electoral Commission, and of whom 41% are youth between 18 years and 30. 41% of these registered voters, they are below 30 years. This is quite very interesting and a good development for our country. I know many of them, they are first-time voters. They need to understand that there is still a huge future for every person to participate. Like Honorable Matemba said, Uganda is not going to end tomorrow. Those on the ballot paper might actually go away in the near future, and Uganda will remain. So, like someone used to say, if you have a government you don't like, be obedient to it so that you can stay alive to find the one that you would want. But if you decide that I'm dying today, you know there is a joke in town, Charles, lately, that of the bush. People are talking, we are going to the bush, our mattresses have already gone to the bush, or stuff like that.
The bush being VPN, or some people were referring to VPN as the bush.
Yes, of course, they were using the synonym of VPN as the bush. But they were now alluding to the fact that the current leadership came from the bush, using the bush as the cradle for the revolution which brought them to power. So they are saying we are going now to tweet ourselves to power or Facebook updates. Unfortunately now I don't know whether the VPN is still on. But what I would want really to encourage the younger people is tomorrow, turn up, go to your polling station, vote, go home, have your lunch, go back at around 4 and witness your vote when it is being counted, and then record how many have we got. And you wait for the Electoral Commission to announce the final person who's going to lead Uganda in the next 5 years.
Let me make a follow-up. I like the argument of we should consider marking ourselves by standards that are, you know, realistic, not to use a democracy of 1776 to compare with a democracy of less than 50 years. But how about the common comparison? Someone will say, yes, Kenya may have a problem of tribalism, ethnic politics, and deeply entrenched, you know, tribally leaning politics. But that at least you can see there is some, you know, some trajectory of maybe something better going on. Someone might say maybe Malawi is doing better, you know, and the argument goes on. How about, because these are discussions around, you know, similar age mates in terms of this voting, you know, the time we started voting at least regularly after every 5 or 4 years.
You know, Charles, I'm a development economist, and the one lesson I learned from my graduate school was that everywhere is different.
True.
And it would be really very unrealistic to anyone to always use the experiences of others to think that you are going to be like them. I know that in reality we have to compare ourselves with others, but be realistic, be pragmatic. Pragmatism is about the chance of success in that, because most of the examples you are bringing, for example, someone would ask, which of them, of those countries, have had about 9 governments and none of them has changed the power you know, with the ballots, using ballots. Which of those countries you are mentioning have been through the realities which we have been through? That's one of the things we need to ask ourselves.
Okay.
Because you have to first lay a foundation on which you start to have this conversation. I know that the main issue in Uganda today is the longer tenure of the incumbent. President Yoweri Museveni has been in power for as long as most of the voters who are going to vote tomorrow have been alive. And this is a fact which you know, goes around people's heads a lot, that why don't we also be like other countries and we change a leader? But you know, context matters. As you discuss that, when you are trying to look at how do we change a leader, look at context.
Okay.
And to me, that's the conversation I'm
willing to go.
I'm willing to have tonight with the more senior people who have been around for a long time to tell us.
I can see they are already shaking their
the roles they have played in having a very long tenure of one person and what it means for the country going forward. Because you are talking of curves,
it's interesting.
Econometrics tells us know where you are coming from, to know where you are going.
Good. it's interesting you have thrown it back to the elders we have here. I was tempted to start with Dr. Matembe or Dr. Maggie, but then I realized when you said the role they have played, I realized that here in this room actually we have not just the role they have played, but a teacher of the current president, and that is Honorable Yona himself. He taught President Museveni. So let him be the one to start by taking that challenge. What role he played in teaching as his student that stay for as long as you want, which is one of the problems we are now hearing from these young people. So what role did Honorable Yona play in ensuring that we stay where we are like this?
Yeah. I think that's a very unfair question. Very, very unfair.
No, take it from whichever limb you want to.
First, I was a student teacher, nearly the same age, maybe 2 years older than the student himself. Second, I thought people learn by experience or information of what they see.
Which is why I think he's talking about context.
And people should realize, where have people stayed too long in power and things have been very good? Because as he is a lecturer, he knows what has happened elsewhere. Wherever leaders stay in power for a long time, or even a party for a long time, when they go out, you have problems. Or they are sent out not willingly. I can start in Africa. Zimbabwe. I'm sure anybody who knew Mugabe from the time we saw him as a nationalist, and the time he left, he wasn't sure that he wanted even to go. And he was even thinking that maybe his wife could take over from him. Go to up north. Go to, first go to the central, Congo, or Zaire with Mobutu. From the 60s up to the time when he left. Leave that one. Take a country where I worked in West Africa, Ivory Coast, Hofet Bany. When he left, what happened? Then go to the North African countries, Arab countries, from Bourguiba in Tunisia, Hosni Mubarak in Egypt. Down here, our neighbor in Sudan. What happened? I have restricted myself to Africa. Gaddafi in the north, North Africa. What has happened? We should also not say we are not going to be like others. We are human beings. We should take examples and use them, or learn from others. After all, that's what we do in life. We take information from others and use them as long as it is helpful to us. Thirdly, even in Europe, the communist parties which were controlling Eastern Europe, they overstayed. When they left, what happened? And you can't say they were not doing very well. Soviet Union was sending people to the moon, to the skies, or nearly to the moon. What happened? It is this. I have forgotten Latin America. Take Mexico. Up to now, Mexico has a problem to the extent that Trump thought that they can only produce drug addicts people who steal, what have you. It had somebody in a party in power for a period of 70 years. See what happened there. It is in human practice that even when you go to dance, and you are even a good dancer, you must retreat or retire from the platform.
Okay.
Even if you are the best of the best,
okay,
you must retire.
Okay. Dr. Chigozi, is it just a matter of accusing someone and saying, no, you have overstayed on the dance floor, so go? Or should it be, like Gobi said again, context should matter? In your view as a business consultant, you say you have seen a lot. What do you think should matter?
Charles, you call me a business consultant. I am an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Yes, I can do some consultancy for you, but that's not what I do.
I would love to.
Yes, context. I think here in Uganda, we have been having elections every 5 years. That is one thing that has definitely been happening. I think in some of the countries that Yona was talking about, this was never necessary. People just led the country. So we do have an opportunity every 5 years to change. And we have the opportunity tomorrow as well, if we so wish, to change the leader. Yes, we hear about how difficult it is. To the incumbent obviously has a lot of advantages, and it is very difficult to look as good as somebody who's been doing it, has been putting infrastructure in place and many other good things. Yes, the opposition has very clearly identified the weaknesses as well. I mean, that's the role of the opposition, and it has certainly done an excellent job of identifying every poor school and every poor hospital in the country. So really, I think the ball is back in the hands of the voter tomorrow.
Good.
They can look at how they feel themselves about that balance. Have you seen any of the 10 that look like presidential material that can take over from the incumbent? And I think that's the decision that is in front of each and every one of us tomorrow as we vote.
Good. Dr. Matembe, that question is actually best answered by you, following that same thread. It's the role of Ugandans and not any of the candidates, certainly not from what Dr. Margaret is saying, the role of Museveni to decide. He also has one vote. So why are these Ugandans, why should they cry and say you are doing this, you are doing the other, when they have the most important card, the voter's card, in their hands?
Charles, as you know, I've never been a realist. Me, I want practical, I see things in practical terms. I have listened to the professor. Of course, they go in class and they teach things, But when you go in practice, I remember one time, was it Honorable Murwa, Yona, the minister who used to critique economy, and then the president, I think it was President Museveni who brought, he used to teach economics, wonderful economics. What's he? I've forgotten. He died. Then President Museveni appointed him. This must be Minister of Finance because he's looking at these financial things. And when the man came on to real practicability of what he was talking about, things could not work So you had to go back and they bring the what? The practitioner. So when I went to study law in development, my master's degree, when I came back, one thing I came with was that I wanted the academicians to link with the practitioners of politics so that the two work together. And I imagine that if the two work together, then would get...
The blend would be better.
Yeah, we would get better. Because the theorists are there, the practitioners are there. It is like these people who are in the football when they are kicking the ball. You who is seeing, say, but why didn't he kick this way? And if you went there, you don't know how it would be done. So having said that, we have been in this country. Which context are you talking about? The question which you first asked was, what role did you play, you as an elder?
Yeah.
I have been in this country since Obote 2 I did, Obote 1 I didn't see. I was young. I saw, I suffered, I saw. When I see these disappearances which are taking place, when I see this shooting of the people, when I see safe houses, when I know how many Ugandans died in safe houses, when went off, did we know that Nakasero State House, bodies got out, bodies in Nairo mansions, bodies. I can assure you, or I have a reason to believe that, for instance, if Muzei is not there, God forbid, if he's off, I don't know how many bodies or rotten things would be found in those safe houses. I don't know. Because the situation, the way it appears, points to what used to be. So for me, I want us to look at things from the practical point of view. The context where we came from, when Miriam Matembe, when President Museveni and all his people came from the bush, when we went to UPM and we went to fight these things and take them off, that was the context. And then we came, we said new constitution. And then Miriam Matembe was one of the 21 members on this constitution. When we were traversing the whole of Uganda, we were telling Ugandans, this is the time to build Uganda afresh, with all unity, with everything. The people of Uganda said, where we have come from, we have learned. Our problem is leaders who want to stay in power forever. And when they said that, they were conforming to what our president said when he arrived here, and even wrote a book that he analyzed. You said the symptoms or the disease. He analyzed the disease. He declared it, that leaders who don't want to leave power.
He said
that was later. I know.
Well, let me first say
I know what is in the book. Please.
He said that those who want to stay in power for long or forever without the mandate of the voters.
That was later.
Let me finish. That was an amendment. But don't you know Animal Farm? Did you ever read a book called Animal Farm?
By George Orwell.
George Orwell. This is Animal Farm into play and perfection of Animal Farm and beyond. So I must finish quickly. Now we said, since the president has diagnosed the disease, the people also diagnosed. So they said, what do we do? The context in which we are, what we have experienced, let us limit the term of the president. Okay? These are the people. You are saying what role should people play? They played their role. Then they elected the Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assembly went there. They discussed the Constitution. It was promulgated. And we said, we are having a new beginning. And I want to say it clearly, that since President Museveni came, we are having elections, even the indirect ones. When I joined Parliament through indirect elections, then the Constitution came. Then we started having elections, and people started coming in and enjoying life. You must know when things went wrong, until a sort of seemingly seen as a credible contestant in form of Chiza Besigye, who came from the movement, and said, you know, we said we shall be building democracy, and we had said in ourselves that actually the movement, the national resistance movement, will produce the viable parties that will come out and compete and things will go well. But when a likely viable party came out, that was the beginning of the destruction of our democracy, which we had started building. Because when you are building, yes, you can see hiccups and then, but when you stop now being guided by what you call democracy and you decide that things must go in a different direction, then they did. The removal of the term limit, the removal of the age limit, the removal of everything, the totality of where do you want me to go? I must stay here. So you call a spade. I mean, speak the truth and we say, what is the context? What is the experience? Where are we going? What can we do? Because Maggie was saying that people should stand and say, of all these candidates, who is there? I have heard many times our president saying that of all these people, there is nobody who can replace me and move Uganda forward.
Of course, he's a politician and campaigning.
You have been a leader.
He cannot say my opponent is better than me.
You have been a leader. Leave the opponent, but nurture the one who is following you. Because they are opponents. There is a government, this party, in this party, when you are a leader, you must be having followers whom you must nurture. You cannot be successful. You cannot, every successful action has a successor. You cannot be successful without a successor. Let's face things truthfully.
Okay.
Because if you are nurturing 35 years and you look among all your people, there is nobody fit to replace you and lead Uganda to the right direction. What have you been doing leading? Where were you leading? Whom were you leading? Whom were you nurturing? That there is this gap that you cannot see anything worthy of replacing you.
Okay.
These are the questions we must discuss. Just don't, you are saying you Ugandans, you are free. Which freedom? Which freedom when they are telling you, we shall crush you? When you go to follow your candidate, they come and tear gas you. You are not supposed to go which candidate you should choose. You cannot go and campaign freely. You cannot now. Why are you saying let them go and choose? I wish they could choose. At one time they chose. They used to choose. They used to choose.
Okay.
But now the situation is, the environment is such that Vanange, are we safe if we go there?
I saw Honorable Yona itching to add something. I had wanted to bring Gobi.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me say something.
Yeah.
The examples I gave of longevity, people do vote. And they vote, they get even 90%. Minimum maybe 70%. They have been voting.
Yeah.
In the communist countries, which I also touched on, people were voting under one-party state. Let's be realistic about things. If you don't have the ability even to stand up and say anything, and if you feel as a leader that you are the only one who has the monopoly of knowledge, what happens? You say you have a secretary general who suddenly says, I think I'm now mature, I want to replace you. You have had people who are your generals in the army who are standing and you are calling them useless. How could you keep an army commander for 9 years in power when you knew they were useless? You had a political commissar in form of Chiza Besigye, your own doctor who might have saved you from disaster, and he is useless. You have a person who was the head of your security few months ago. He is also useless. So who is useful in this country?
Okay.
The only people who are useful are those who are sent, and they are selected carefully, who are sent to crush. Because you are not the one who is crushing. The one who is crushing is the chief or the head of police, his deputy, and a few others. And the LDUs and what have you. Those are the ones who crush. Okay. Maybe they are the ones who we see. The president doesn't crush.
Okay, let me swing this debate, this question back to Dr. Chigozi before Ramadan comes in. Is it possible then that maybe Ugandans are being Ugandans' expectations are too low of that they don't see beyond some of these comparisons being made, that all they see is that Uganda is at a loss?
Yes, thank you. Expectations being too low. I think you heard when Miria was speaking what she went through, what she saw. So when you are talking about the age mates that actually saw these things, they have had 30 years of peace. Is it 35? Whatever the number of years. They've had those number of years of peace. And some of them you cannot, that is, you know, when you're talking about low expectations, that is it. I sleep at night, I earn, I keep my money, and my business is doing well. Those are the expectations that many people have.
And is that born out of an experience that they would rather never go back to? Or is it just, is it something they started thinking about along the way?
30 years
some have the experience, like Miria has. They had the
20
experience.
years of war in the north and northeast. Is that not considered as a part of Uganda? So 30 years of peace is limited.
It's relative.
To a location.
Okay. Let me come back to Gobi. You have had their arguments, and they are really strong arguments in challenging the question you make of your paradigm of saying that, you know, our context is different, our situation is different, our situation is supposed to be looked at as unique in its own way, and we should learn from. Do you want to go into the question of this debate that some people say that we should have our own kind of democracy that should not necessarily be the Western kind democracy, where we are looking at the US, the UK, Australia, Canada, and thinking that, yes, this is the glory. Maybe we should create our own. Is that what you want to take us into? Or
Charles,
responding to that context, the challenge?
Debating with the senior citizens is quite a tough job,
because they have both the practical,
because number one,
experience, and
yes, they have lived most of these times. Number two, they are very wise people. They can afford to select which examples they give and which one they don't. Like when you hear Honorable Yona talking of leaders and longevity and so on, is having a very good selection bias, and in econometrics is one of the things which we teach our students to avoid in research, because there are those countries where also leaders have lived longer, have ruled longer, and they have transformed very fast. The best example is Singapore. How many years, Honorable Yona, did Lee Kuan Yew lead Singapore? And it is now a first world country. His neighbor in Malaysia, Mahathir Mohamad, is another example. And also we can go into political economy and we cite a number of others. So much as there are those in Africa who have led longer, and actually they have caused more trouble in their countries than transformation. There are those that have transformed their country. That's why I said context matters a lot. Because why did Singapore transform with the Lee Kuan Yew at the helm for nearly 3 decades is perhaps because he had a certain environment which he created that propagated that transformation, where another person in Africa, in Zimbabwe, for example, the old man Mugabe failed to do so. And also there are some other factors people will explain. Some are exogenous factors. They come from outside the system and they antagonize it. But I don't want to go a lot into that political economy. I would want to be like Honorable Matembe say, let us be real here. And she started very well, somewhere where she said that she sometimes wonders what would happen if Muzei, she used the word Muzei, is not there. Wouldn't we see bodies of people being felled out of buildings and so on, being shot? Perhaps that's also, you are not alone, Honorable Matembe, that's perhaps what other Ugandans ask themselves. And this is a situation which I was saying that it has been created here in such a way that President Museveni has lived here longer and he has created a system which is so stable around him that sometimes some people ask themselves, when he's not there, what is likely to happen? And that brings you to the issues, therefore. The issues of the elections are what? What are the issues of Uganda? What should we be discussing on this panel to inform a voter on what is likely to be the main issues? To me, fundamentally, the security and stability of this country is a very big issue. And no country should be there lying to yourself that you can change leaders and transform and do this and that, have democracy, when you don't have the stability. But now we need to discuss what are the determinants of that stability and the security.
Okay.
And these are now where we come in to bring in both the exogenous and the endogenous factors. Would someone be right to say that, by the way, by the incumbent staying around for a long time and creating this stability around him, is he not creating this anxiety and uncertainty that when he's not there? But when you have first and foremost accepted and analyzed fully that the political stability of Uganda is one fundamental factor that will have security to come to UBC at midnight and we go home after we've harassed actually the incumbent in power, and we all go home and reach and sleep. And that one we shouldn't, in my view, miss it. Secondly, after security, of course, is the economy. The economy of Uganda in terms of joblessness, unemployment, inequality, and what else, and things like livelihoods, is very, very critical. And the people of Uganda who are going to vote should ask themselves, who is so likely to change this situation where we are having 600,000 younger people who join the labor market and they need jobs, all sorts of livelihood, at least. What we call income, money. We all need money to survive. I know some people lie to themselves that money is not everything. No. I always tell people money is everything. If you want to know that money is everything, you don't have it. You realize the significance of money. So how do we, therefore, create a situation where every Ugandan, especially the younger people, whom I usually now call boomeranga generation. The boomeranga generation is younger adults who have failed to live on their own because of circumstances. They leave school after graduation and they go back to their parents. And these have been multiplying in numbers in Uganda. And they are the voters. We have the issues like our land security, the security of our land. Only 25% of Uganda's land is titled. And people are living in anxiety, that uncertainty that someone might come and, chase them off their land. So who is going to secure this land? What mechanisms do we have to do so? Many people discuss the symptoms, land grabbing. Some powerful people come and grab land. Of course, in every society where there are no property rights, those things happen. So to avoid that, how do we secure the property rights of these? And then the services. The legitimacy of any government. To me, it doesn't matter who is in power, which color is he, how old or young are they, and so on. It's about two main things. It's about the attending to the physiological needs of people, which we all know.
Okay. And
then ensuring that the aspirations of people, especially younger people, are fulfilled. And to me, these are the issues which should take people to the ballot paper and see who is going to add value as far as those things are concerned. Is this old man who has been around for 35 years having ability to add value on these issues? That's the question someone should answer. Is there an alternative, a better alternative to that? That should be an answer. These other things we are discussing, the politics of it, I don't think is the end in itself. They are just means.
Okay, good. Thanks a lot. Let's go for a break right now. When we come back, there are a number of comments and questions that are coming from the audience out there, but also when we come back, you can call in through 0702 232 425. I need to repeat that. If you want to ask more questions, you can call on 0702 232 425. And that's on top of the number that I had already given you, and I've already seen there are 19 comments and questions that have already come. I'll be sorting them out and ensuring that I read them to you the moment we come from the break. But just know that if you want to follow the discussion, there is also a broadcast of this same discussion going on live on Magic 100 FM. Let's take a break right now and keep it at Behind the Headlines.
They came, they promised, and you had them. They made an altar call for your votes. Over the last 60 days, they traversed the country in search for your mandate, and decision-making time has arrived. UBC will extensively cover the euphoria in 3 languages using 6 dedicated studios, with our team of experienced reporters and correspondents embedded countrywide, from Kotido to Koboko, Kisoro to Bududa, Guru to Kaberamaido, across all polling stations. The election hub shall promptly deliver a faithful and analytical representation of the 2021 general elections through our lenses, live and free. Don't miss a balanced election coverage from all camps on TV, radios, and online.
Connect to the world for free on Ayoba. Chat with friends for free. Play games all day for free. Jam to Ziki for free. You can also send money through Ayoba. Absolutely no MBs needed. To download the app, visit www.mtn.co.ug/mymtn and select Ayoba.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Shopping needs, come to Capital Shoppers. We have a variety of items like foods, garments, cosmetics, and all sorts of drinks. Enjoy your shopping experience at affordable prices in our fully stocked branches in the following areas: Ntinda Stretcher Road, opposite Makere Business School along Portbell Road, Duster Street opposite Nakasero Market, and Garden City on Yusuf Lule Road. To all our customers and suppliers, we thank you for your continuous support. Stay safe, wash your hands, sanitize, and wear your mask always.
Enjoy the real taste of Noti's natural peanut butter that spreads happiness to the whole family. Available in smooth, crunchy, and chocolate nut variants. Pick a size that fits your pocket from 125 grams, 250 grams, 400 grams, and 800 grams. Noti's peanut butter, the real peanut butter. Available in all leading supermarkets. Fruitvale Fruit Juice. Our journey begins in orchards where some of the best fruits are grown. Fruitvale Fruit Juice is 100% natural with no added sugar, filled with the wholesome goodness of vitamins and minerals that nourish your body and delight your taste buds. Enjoy real fruit juice in orange, tomato, apple, beetroot with mango, lemon mint with cucumber, mango, berry and tropical variants. Grab your Fruitvale 100% fruit juice today. Available in all leading supermarkets.
Bolukwir bubino nade. Ento kudwa wek bolukwir upokindwa. Mare mapiretek. Anyenga mero duka. Ochan. Ni Eminent Women's Situation Room. Ofoya.
This message is brought to you by the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy in partnership with Interparty Organization for Dialogue. iPod.
They came, they promised, and you heard them. They made an altar call for your votes. Over the last 60 days, they traversed the country in search for your mandate, and decision-making time has arrived. UBC will extensively cover the euphoria in 3 languages using 6 dedicated studios. With our team of experienced reporters and correspondents embedded countrywide, from Kotido to Koboko, Kisoro to Bududa, Guru to Kaberamaido, across all polling stations, the election hub shall promptly deliver a faithful and analytical representation of the 2021 general elections through our lenses, live and free. Don't miss a balanced election coverage from all camps on TV, radios, and online.
Welcome back from that break. This is Behind the Headlines on UBC TV, and today is the Kasiki Day for elections, and the Ugandans are going to the polls to elect the president, directly elected members of parliament, and women members of parliament all tomorrow, and that is the 14th of January 2021. We are discussing the role of Ugandans towards having a successful election, the issues that should form that participation of the ordinary citizen. And with me in the studio here to discuss that, we have Dr. Maggie Chigozi, we have Dr. Yonasani Kanyomozi, we have Dr. Miriam Matembe, and we have Mr. Ramadan Gobi, and they are tackling those issues and sharing with us their experiences and knowledge. We have a lot of messages, questions that have come. Let me start by reading. This one has not sent in his name or her name. He says, thanks, the person says, thanks to the panelists. President Museveni, for sure, he has played his part. He needed not to only have touched the Constitution. That would have ushered in a good succession. The Constitution should have a lock on term limit. Someone will have to respond to that, and but I know that the president has always argued that changing the Constitution, touching it, or whatever you refer to it as, is provided for in the Constitution, and the constitutional processes were followed, the legal processes were followed. But I will invite someone to respond to that. And then someone says, Sports Puzzle from Kirinya, as I vote tomorrow, I will look at who can make Uganda better than it is now. I will keep the peace. Thanks so much, Puzzle. I don't know why you are called Puzzle though, but that's a good statement. And then another person, please, if you're sending a question or comment, keep it short. Just one sentence, respond, ask a question, or make that comment so that we can get as many as possible. This one is very long, so I'm going to cut it short and try to... Someone here called Onyapidi Albert. He says, he's from Mukuju sub-county. My request to all Ugandans is that they should go out and vote tomorrow, and they should ensure the process is peaceful. Avoid crowded places, and follow the traffic guidelines as the authorities provide. I'm a youth at 23 years old. Thanks so much for being a law-abiding youth, Albert. And then another question says, please, I request security to ensure that people are not injured. Let it be a fair election. Bye. Thanks a lot for that information. For that, that's a good one. And then another person says, I am Ayela Godfrey, and says, tomorrow I imagine every Ugandan going out to elect their leader, that but the problem is the government has shut down the media. Is that a democracy? That's what this person is saying. And then another person called Kasalu from Budo. He says, I'm viewing you from Budo. I have heard Dr. Maggie citing elections that are held every 5 years. This question is not very clear. Kasalo, can you make the question a little clear? Please ensure that the construction is easy and keep it short and to the point. Mr. Gobi's analysis of the issue of peace is a question of Museveni's leadership. And then the gentleman says, and he has not put his name, he says, I think that regardless of the president in power, the problem is really overstaying in power. And then another person, this one is called Abed Kani from Nebi, and he says, I'm equally impressed by the level of sanity, respect, and objectivity of the panelists. Thanks to the elders here and their young colleague here, their younger colleague, Gobi. The person says, I'm impressed by the level of sanity, respect, and objectivity of the panelists, not to mention the professionalism of Mr. Dombo. No, we don't have Dombo here. It is Mr. Gobi. That how he calmly disagrees with the seniors in a liberal and respectful manner. We still have a future in this country, Uganda, in spite of the few challenges. Thanks so much. And he says is Abed Kani Eric from Nebi, West Nile, Uganda. He has written all of them. Thanks Abed Kani for that. And then someone from Kisugu called Collins, he says, thanks for the program, Charles, and the team at large. I really appreciate Mama Miria for being open, and I wish she aspired in that top seat. She will be blessed to take it. Amen. The top one.
Oh. By the grace of God, one day, so be it.
Then he says, I pray that she goes back to, I pray that she goes back to Parliament. And then another person is called Peter. Peter, I have a friend I called Peter or Petru, and but this Peter says, President Museveni says is, let me see, the question, this question is not very clear. Let me go to another one. Please keep the questions short, and you can resend since we are still here. Keep the question short and let it be to the point so that we can read it quickly and it doesn't disturb when we are reading. Someone called Jasper Otwal. I want to ask Gobi, in his own view, of course he's making his own view here, why is there a heavy deployment of security as if we are at war? And then another person here, this one is very long, but okay. Farid Hassan from Arua City, I would like to know from all of you, why he's also talking about heavy deployment, and he says this is not war. Why is there too much deployment? And then there is Richard all the way from Soroti. Richard says, I give credit to Honorable Matembe and the panelists. They are mindful about the future of Ugandans, and God is watching. That is Richard from Soroti. And finally, for now, someone from Kasese. Thanks so much all the way from Kasese, and to all the persons who have responded from all over Uganda. This person from Kasese is called Baluku Arnold, and he says, remind those people that campaigns have ended. So you should not directly talk about the people who are in the polls tomorrow. That you are campaigning for people who are going for the polls tomorrow. So you should not talk about them directly. That's what Arnold Baluku from Kasese is suggesting to you. I have seen so many other questions coming, and there is one who is sending a message all the way from Somalia. I think I will read more questions after the discussion. But there was, let's come back to some of the questions that have come in. We can thread them, rope them in as we discuss. Feel free to interject if you have to, so that we can have a discussion going forward. But Honorable Matembe, you had wanted to respond first to some of the issues that had been raised by Mr. Gobi before we went for the break.
Yes, thank you very much, Charles. I want to thank all those viewers and listeners for their comments. That shows that they are keen, they are listening. I want to respond to the upcoming elder person.
Aspiring elder.
Who brought to Lee Kuan Yew as an example.
Yes.
And he was saying how come he succeeded. I studied that Lee Kuan Yew situation in comparison to Uganda. I want to say one statement that made Lee Kuan Yew succeed. What was driving him into his leadership? He was being driven by the existence and sustainability of Singapore. As anything that would harm the existence and sustainability of Singapore, he would not tolerate. It was not about himself at all. Such an extent that one time he had this colleague who was his favorite colleague, you know, like Katega used to be so-called colleague with President Museveni. But somehow there was some corruption of some kind. I tell you, Lee Kuan Yew was not ready
to tolerate that.
To tolerate that. And when it happened, before even the other gentleman could even see what Lee Kuan Yew could do, he said, I cannot face. He couldn't face Lee Kuan Yew. I think he killed himself.
Wow.
Because of, he said, how with this corruption scandal about me? He killed himself.
He committed suicide.
Yes. Lee Kuan Yew could not tolerate anything that would harm Singapore. Lee Kuan Yew was never a sectarian person. Lee Kuan Yew, the methods he was using, he would pick the people who, you know, like he went to school, you know, all these school, his schoolmates. He knew they had some brainy children. He would call all of them, whether you are from Lango, from where. He said, where are those children of yours? They seem to be brilliant. You would send them for courses to go and study, and then come, and they get deployed. And you would be interested, Lee Kuan Yew, anything to shake the sustenance of Singapore off. So he came with this vision of building Singapore from nothing, because it was almost not existing if he didn't have that passion, and he continued with that passion. And whenever he promised anything, for instance, I'll give one example. You remember when they removed Shimon Secondary School?
Next to us, yeah.
Yes, on pretext that they are going to do something for, you know, for Ugandans. Up to now, I don't know what came out for the good of Ugandans. Lee Kuan Yew would come and say, here, we need to sort out this. And people naturally would refuse, they would resist, but he would talk to them, but he's going to do good for them. But people don't easily see what is good for them. And when you are a leader and you are intending good for them, you take action and decisions. But these decisions and actions, at the end, they result into good for them, not for yourself and wherever.
Okay.
So that was a big difference between Lee Kuan Yew and the governance in Africa here. The governance in Africa, they come in supposedly driven by a vision to lead these countries, and slowly by slowly the vision turns into their personal ambitions. That's why, by the way, they don't have followers. Because when you have a vision is something which you do for others. While an ambition is something which drives you to be better than others.
Okay.
So the vision turns into ambition, and then we lose it.
Okay.
And that is what is happening in Africa. Until African leaders take the countries they lead as their baby, as their passion that drives them into leadership, we shall continue like that. For instance, this Uganda. Corruption. President Museveni came with 10-point program. We all embraced them with passion, with commitment and interest. Down the road, honestly, down the road, you know, when I was chased away from cabinet, I went to Jankwanzi. They want to remove term limit. With my honesty, I stood up and said, sir, you went to the bush to fight corruption? All these people you see here, you are people are corrupt. I was the minister responsible for fighting corruption. I said, you went to the bush to fight rigging of election? It is being rigged. Bribery is taking place. So don't you think now things have gone bad that we need to refocus and redirect ourselves and begin afresh? What was the result? Get out of here. I got out, and as I talk now, things became worse and worse and worse. And to finish on comment on him, he was telling us that Ugandans, as they go to the polls, what should be in their mind, he listed security, economy, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you, my personal experience has proved, not even livelihood, because what is happening in elections now, if it was livelihood, it could be a long time. But what is happening in elections, what are you giving me? It does not matter whether you are the type of a leader who is going to make a change, who is going to serve the people. It is not about what you are going to do for the people, or whether you have the capacity or ability to do for the people. What is there is what is mine. So it is exchange. Money, soda, what? All throughout, including Vanange, what shocked me, even the older persons.
Okay. Good. Gobi, I will come back to you on that contextual discussion. But let me bring in Dr. Maggie. You come from and proudly that entrepreneurship background. And when we talk about livelihoods, we talk about economy, we talk about security as being some of the elements that people must look, Ugandans must look out for making a choice. Someone would ask, there was a question that Gobi asked before we went for the break. The question of who is the best alternative, or is there the best alternative as we talk now to the current leadership? And someone will say, from the entrepreneurship perspective, we have so many good business people, we have so many good entrepreneurs, but we don't see this kind of quality transformed into the political realm. What is that missing, the missing chain? What is that missing, that we don't see that potential transferred into the political realm?
Ugandans are very entrepreneurial, but I think when we say that, we are looking at business. We are looking at them making money, selling and buying or producing, and that's
at that basic level.
Is it basic? That's the most important level for this country. It's the economy. It's making the money, it's paying the taxes. These are the guys that do it. So really, I remember a request to Mr. Mulwana when I was a manufacturer to sit in parliament as well. Should private sector be represented in parliament? And it was an emphatic no. We are busy doing what we do best. you, the parliamentarians, go and do what you do best. So, you know, they had no desire to sit in parliament and talk about issues and fight sometimes. I don't think that's our role. But government and how it has handled entrepreneurship. I think in 1989, we very clearly privatized this economy and said, you know, the private sector is going to lead this economy. But the mismatch came about with our education, where MOBS, and Rama is one of those people making a difference there, sectors like that, skilling of Ugandans, vocational skills, did not match at that time. I think I want to report positively now that is happening. That is happening. Young entrepreneurs are going out there, they are starting their businesses, they're extremely successful, and more of them are getting these opportunities through programs like that, Skilling Uganda, through MOVES Entrepreneurship, through, you know, even the universities have changed the way they used to train. I see agriculture down, hands-on with the SME farmers, the Department of Agriculture. And that is what delayed this. So Ugandans coming out of universities kept on waiting to get a job. They are not doing that now.
Yeah.
Some are, unfortunately. But those are the ones we still need to get to. We still need to get to those with jobs and say you can also start your own business. Everyone should consider what another source of income for themselves. And the good news is it's happening. Right now, the young people are not waiting for your jobs. They are out there. They are setting up they are trained, first of all, setting up a beautiful hair salon with all the, you know, the professionalism. They are setting up their welding business. They are setting up their little manufacturing businesses. So we are getting there now. What was started in 1989, but Ugandans' mindset, parents' mindsets were not responding to the private sector-led and the very strong entrepreneurship that Ugandans have. But it's happening now. I am excited. I am excited now.
Okay.
So the question, and I think I should not answer that question, is who among the 11 I should choose to do that. I think that is still secret ballot, and we should still go there, make our own decision as to who's going to make it happen.
Yeah, and someone has said, someone from Muluku, is it Mukulu? Mukulu sub-county in Tororo has said, for us, he says for us, and yet he is sending the question, is alone on his phone. But he has decided to say, for us, all we are requesting from the president himself, that come and support us, the youth, Your Excellency, because we are sure all we want is development. This is what this person is saying from Tororo. And then there is another person, Honorable Kanyamuzi, I'm coming to you, but some of these are interesting. This person says, but Charles, let's be realistic. Is it any president who must give people jobs? You are educated, and I imagine it is not one person who is educated, but many people. I have seen Uganda peaceful. Anyway, then he ends by saying, for me, I'm just securing my future. Then he says, I am a breaker. A breaker. A breaker, you are campaigning, campaigns have ended, please avoid it. And then Elimu Rich, no, this one I read. There is another one called a person called Ejolo Bernard. He says, I went to Amuria Health Center the only thing I got was a free bed. And then he says, Miriam Matembe, thank you for speaking the truth to Gobi and Dr. Chigozi. And then this one I also read. Yeah, the rest are repeating themselves. If there is a new one, I will read. There is one here. Someone called Emilio Odongtho from Nebi. The person says, my concern is about the winner takes all politics of Uganda's democracy. That Uganda's democracy should mature and be inclusive. That strategy of inclusiveness and accommodation is what will satisfy Ugandans. Honorable Kanyomozi, respond to some of those issues, but also cutting in with the responses from the discussion we have had, but especially the main issues that Gobi had touched on. I need your comment on what Gobi had said earlier, that the role of a Ugandan should be to look at what are the main issues, and in his view, he identifies security being an important one, livelihood, employment, and economy, and that anybody who should stand successfully for a leadership position in this country should be someone who provides the best alternative for those issues. What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, we need to say that all these parties and all these leaders have produced manifestos.
Yeah, true.
Which are the guiding things that of what they will do. For the present leadership, they have been at it for 35 years. It is of interest to Ugandans. When you are tasting food, you don't only eat potatoes every day, every week, every month. You need to have a change. And these changes in politics can only come when people are given a chance. How do you give people a chance? By letting them also apply themselves, and you judge them after they have performed. But if you block the way from them being able to perform, and then you say the only person who can produce security is the one we have seen. You have never seen the other alternative. It's like the proverb, I mean the saying, the people, when they say a child who has never moved out of their home thinks the mother is the best cook.
His mother is the best cook.
Yes. So we need a change in order to experiment on what other Ugandans can do. We couldn't have known what this government was going to do unless it was given an opportunity to do so. So the argument of saying we are going to continue because this is what we have seen doesn't help. The second one, the second aspect on making choice tomorrow is to say to them, to people, how far have we gone? People will say, oh, we have infrastructure, we have this, there is electricity, but how many people are enjoying that electricity? We have invested so much. What has been the impact of that electricity development? Maybe my friend here will tell us. The bills for electricity bills have been going up. It's only recently that there was a review on pricing of power in Uganda. Isn't it high time that somebody has touched these policy programs to move them to the right direction. 3, you are talking about peace. Peace and security. As if this country, if you go out now, as we are going to go out when we are going to home, you think there is a person going to invade us tonight. And yet tomorrow should be a beautiful day for us to go and vote. But when you go out, less than 2 kilometers, there will be a roadblock. And you may be asked to be checked. I'm sure that we are waiting for those documents which will take us back. Otherwise, we may not get there. What is happening now? Why we are appealing to the young people whom everybody thinks they are going to riot. We are appealing to them not to, because it doesn't add anything to us. What we are saying is if people are, if you are telling, instead, if you are going to persuade a child to move or a person to move, you persuade him with a persuasive language. But if you start, I'm talking about tomorrow, if you start the person with a threat that if I see you, I will crush your head, what do you think will happen to that person? Will he vote? Either he will vote in fear and vote for you because he fears being what? Crushed. Or he will not turn up, and you know the percentage of people voting in this country has always been going up, absenteeism. Or if he's in panic, he may vote and run away and not look after, protect his vote. Because you are telling the person, come and vote. At the same time, you are telling him, if you vote and stay a minute, you will see what I will do to you. So that one needs to be addressed. Now there is the other issue on development. On development, we have had many experiments in these 35 years. We had Ntandikwa, Bonabagagawale, we had going for most value addition products. We had, now we are in the mode of Emioga. Before that, we have the one which is permanent and pensionable, called wealth creation. Have you seen the wealth creation? And the professor there will tell you. Only last week, the head of Department of Research at the Bank of Uganda was saying, we are actually in, I was going to use a bad word, sorry. We are actually in trouble. We are actually in trouble. Our economy is, besides COVID and other things, because all economies are experiencing this, we are in trouble because there is no outright thing that we can see which is going to bring us prosperity or put us in a direction of goodness. I'm pleased that Margaret is saying that our people are now getting in the job, they are going to do so many things. That's a plus if it happens. But the statistics and figures we have on our debt levels, on the way we are applying, is not very interesting. So tomorrow when people are voting, they should ask themselves why. If we have had peace, we have had security, we have had good governance, we have had all these good things that people are talking about, why is it that the economy is on the verge of having problems? So the people who are going to vote tomorrow should ask themselves those questions. We have heard about unemployment. An economy is growing at a terrific speed. Unemployment is also growing at a terrific speed. How do you reconcile these things?
Okay.
Can an economy which is growing have unemployment to the level that we are having?
Gobi, do you want to respond to that immediately?
Thank you. Of course, there has been a big debate in Uganda of jobless growth, what we call jobless growth in economics. Growth without creating jobs or enough jobs, because you can't say no jobs at all. The latest statistics I've looked at, which was included in the National Development Plan 3, is that we need at least 514,000 jobs every year to be able to absorb the younger people who join the labor market. But our economy is able to create 140,000 jobs. So there is need to expand on the job-rich sectors so that they can be able to absorb these younger people. And this is what I think Dr. Mag was saying, the entrepreneurship. How do you support it to create these jobs? The issues you have mentioned, the electricity, the cost of money, the infrastructure to reduce the cost of transport, and so on and so forth, definitely will play a role here. And that's where I was beginning on what are these issues that should be addressed in these politics of ours, such that we move away from the politics of slogans to the politics of issues that we must address. And the people bring these alternative policies which can make me go and vote and say this is a better one. But on that, Charles, I wanted to respond to a few of these questions which were asked.
Can you do that in 2 minutes? So
Yes.
that, because we need to, I need you to ask the guests the questions, and then we wind up with that so that they can respond.
Okay. Someone, of course, asked about the heavy deployment, and he brought it to me. Ramadan, why is there heavy deployment? As if we are at war. I'm not an expert of security or deployments. I've also just passed through a chain of roadblocks to come to UBC. But I guess the Charles next time will call a security officer to explain some of these issues. And but I can hazard a guess that these deployments are done to ensure that we are safe as we are going to vote. Although some people will say they are intended to intimidate the voters. So either way, look at it. It will, I think, remain with the experts to tell us. To me, Charles, the question you asked was very critical to Dr. Maggie. The quality of politics and politicians that we have. Although for you we are passing on, why don't we see entrepreneurship in politics? Politics, there is no entrepreneurship. That people go, because politics is not business. They are not going there to make money, to make profit. Of course, I know that in Uganda, some people are joining politics as a job because
now
they
a
are
serious business.
A job elsewhere. Like you can see the exodus now, which has happened, especially now that COVID has destroyed even the few opportunities we had. Now we no longer have musicians, they have all gone to politics. We don't have comedians, they have gone. Farmers have gone, and so on and so forth. But to me, this trend has been on for a time, and I wrote about it some time back. The Honorable Matembe, who's here, even her name is in my article. I was asking, why are we moving from the quality of leaders like Honorable Matembe when they were in politics, active politics, and others, now to the quality we have in Parliament, in these councils of local government, and so on? Because when New Vision carried out a study where they kind of surveyed the schools which these MPs have attended, each MP, which schools did they attend, where have they been, New Vision did this study. I remember vividly because they interviewed me on this, and they asked me, Ramadan, you are the people who study these things. When we carried out this survey, we find that only 2% of the members of parliament attended the schools which we know, the elite schools of, you know, which some people who are working in parastatals and so on attended. Most of these MPs attended schools which are hard to reach, difficult to find even on the map of Uganda. I said, really? So I got interested in that. Why, for example, are the type of Dr. Maggie unwilling to go to parliament? She said of the late Murwan and so many others. Why are these people who have interest in Uganda? Because politics of interests comes when people with the legitimate interests join politics to protect those interests. Why have we seen gradually that going away, and now we are having someone jumping out of, for example, joblessness, say, I have failed to get a job, let me stand. Or, I've been doing some simple thing somewhere, and he comes and dances around and he gets voted. He goes to parliament, and the level of legislation, the quality reduces. So we need to ask ourselves, is it because the politics in Uganda has become so dirty for decent people, full of abuse, violent? These are some of the facts we need to understand.
Okay.
Because there are few people who can tolerate the kind of politics which is ongoing now. Harassed, tear gassed, and so on. The winner takes it all. There is someone who talked about it. You remember, Charles, we discussed this here, and I told the leaders who were here, it's time Uganda adopted another model of democracy. This democracy where tomorrow those who are going to win are going to be winners. Those who will lose, they are going back to wherever they came from. That politics is not good. I thought we need to see how do we share power. If, for example, someone has been second and has gotten 4 million people supporting them, how do we integrate them in this democracy so that we move as a country where those 4 million people are not left out to be, you know, angry for 4 years, 5 years until they come back and build on another number. That's why we are in this state. Now my question is, do I ask?
Yes, you ask, because time is now running.
To you. I'm going to ask
we have a culture here where the panelists ask the guests questions, one question each to the guest. So he's going to ask a question to each of you.
I think I will start with Dr. Maggie. Apart from the politics, which we have talked a lot here, what do you think needs to be done to transform our society of Uganda, and which therefore an average person out there who's going to vote should emphasize tomorrow when they are voting? That is needed. And to Honorable Yona, what needs to be done to integrate East Africa? Because I've seen there is something we haven't discussed here. Uganda, we are discussing our problems, but also they are almost the similar problems to what we see in Rwanda, what we see in Burundi, what we see in South Sudan, what we see in Tanzania, what we see in Kenya in 2007. They were sharpening machetes and pangas on tarmac. Now, with all these realities we are facing, how do we integrate practical ourselves so that we are able to help Dr. Maggie and other entrepreneurs to do business in this wider market? And Honorable Matembe, can you kindly mention for me maybe 1 or 2 things that you may think are good in today's Uganda. Yeah, some good things because ever since we started the debate, you have mentioned those which are bad things. Are there any good things you see that are happening in Uganda?
I came here to discuss the role of Ugandans towards successful election.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, so that we can see whether there are anything that we can build on for whoever wants to take power.
Okay.
I thank you.
Let's start with Dr. Chigozi.
All right. I think, thank you, Gobi. The biggest one now that you should ask yourself as a voter, really, what's on the table? I'm a medical doctor, and I have not had anyone mention COVID tonight. It is COVID. COVID is a killer. COVID is with us, and it's going to be with us a lot longer. While you are looking at the people you are going to choose from, keep in mind to think who is best placed to be able to handle COVID-19. Secondly, going back to the entrepreneurs that we need so desperately and their main needs, what do they need? And you've handed the big one to Honorable Kanyomozi. He will cover it, the regional bloc of East Africa. But now we launched the trade in the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Again, let us look among all our candidates, all the way down to local council 1, and really think who is going to make that happen and be more effective for us as the entrepreneurs in Uganda to be able to take, benefit from the regional trade that comes. The other one, undoubtedly, and I think all the manifestos talk about this, is the infrastructure. We've talked about energy today in a very negative way. I want to come out as a manufacturer and say that we have electricity. A few years ago, it was always generators, very expensive, a lot of diesel, polluting, and now we have electricity. So that is one thing that is positive. What has not happened, the airlines have happened, ICT has happened, roads are much better in many areas. We have problems, and again, these were identified very clearly by the various presidential candidates. The other one, the one that hasn't happened, is the railway and the oil. Because oil, if we can begin to export oil, refined oil, we will be able to pay a lot of our loans that we have. The railway is essential. The railway is another essential one. So when it comes to business, the skilling, as I've said, has begun to happen. The young people are being trained better, more correctly. The curriculum is being looked at. Not yet. It takes a long time for education to change. It changes it turns like an elephant and not like a pussycat. So it will take some time, but it's happening. I think that's all that I wanted to say.
I can imagine the turn of an elephant.
Yes, that's the Ministry of Education, and that's how it has to go. Train all the teachers.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
Good. Dr. Yona. Honorable Yona.
The thing that for us to move is to have policies which are similar. First of all, let's be open, have internal open societies which can allow all of us, even border trade is not there. Although I was on the committee which sponsored the common market, the implementation of that has not been easy. The common market is not there, and yet we need it. Secondly, all the region as it is, we should now be looking at those elements of the treaty, which we have already agreed on, and implementing them. Once we implement them, then at least a start can be made. Thirdly, we cannot be in so many blocks at the same time. If we are going to move as East Africans, which is what you asked, we move as a bloc. We negotiate with the European Union as a bloc. We join COMESA as a bloc. We join SADC as a bloc. We join the free trade area for the whole of Africa as a bloc, having a similar program. This requires us to clear the politics internally so that they can coincide. Fourthly, the issue of how we treat our citizens. If our citizens are not happy, their unhappiness will be spread to the others. That's why we have refugees from either Sudan or from Burundi in some areas, from countries surrounding us, Somalia and what have you. We need this to be sorted out. And people who are going to be voted in tomorrow should actually be people who can understand these things. I'm sure most of the proposals or most of the manifestos must have provided have these elements. But the problem we have is the issue of implementation. You have good manifestos, but implementing them, because some of us think we have the monopoly of knowing everything, the implementation becomes very difficult. Lastly, at a political level, we need now to be issue-based at political level in the region. We should now be identifying, since we have political parties which have similar programs and they have a relationship. Because the problem which we have in Africa is that the ideological clarity is not there, and parties are not actually geared. If there are parties which support free trade or liberal, neoliberal economics, they should be identified. They can link up. It will make our work easier. But at the moment, you have a social democratic party, the other in another territory, in another area, you have a neoliberal party, and you expect them to have a common program. Of course they won't. It's mixing blood with milk. They don't
mix.
Okay, they will mix, but the end product is not the right one. So we should be emphasizing that. Lastly, education and how we educate our people and how we grow the technology and what have you. We should have a uniform approach, because we are small, we are a non-entity in the world economy. If we have an approach which emphasizes certain things, either the ones that will support industry or support trade, and it's uniform, we would not be having this conflict of Uganda playing, begging, not playing even, begging Kenya to take our what? Our sugar, or take our milk, or take the eggs. Because it would be easier, we would be knowing what is in Kenya and what is lacking in Uganda, what is lacking in Rwanda, what is lacking. And the leadership should not have egos which make it very difficult for countries to move, because it affects the ordinary people.
Okay. Honorable Matembe.
Thank you very much for seeing my lack of appreciation. I put it like that because it seems that's why you asked me that question. But even before I tell you the good, let me first seal the birds. The bad things. One bad thing that I should not forget, I'm glad you have brought this. I have lived in this country for many years. I have never seen Ugandans lose their souls the way they have done. The level of moral decadence, ethical value breakdown is just unprecedented. I mean, I used to live in this country. I never saw a mature person begging. We used to have culture. We used to have respect, self-respect. An old person like this Kanyomo say, what have you given me? He gave me this one. No. If you wanted something lacking, you would go to a friend or to somebody he knows and ask, please help me here quietly. But what is happening? I cry. I'm telling you, I cry for Uganda. I cry and I say, how have we reached here? Okay. This whole poor mentality, you know, the poverty of the mind and the soul. Do you want me not to see these things and say them? Because if these things are there and they are not said and known and the treatment is found, then where are we going? They are also part of it. Okay. Second, I want to tell you that in this world, they even say good news is no what?
Not.
The media say good news is no news.
Yeah.
Hey, good news is taken for granted. It's good news. It is supposed to be good, but the bad news is always coming. Why? Because the bad should be dealt with.
I think it stems from the fact that human nature desires good things. So good is obvious.
When the
it
good,
is expected.
When the good
so it doesn't. It is not an oddity. You know, it is not odd.
Yes.
So it is only the bad. For me, that's what I think.
Thank me for helping me because I'm coming now to the good. Because when you do good, they are expecting you to do good.
So the bad actually
So when you do the bad, one bad thing covers everything good you've done. That's why you people listening to me, you may lose it at the last minute. You are so good and then you do one bad thing like this. It will cover everything good you've done. That's why people should be careful. Now I want to say the good things. I have always clearly said, I appreciate where I give you appreciation where it is due. I have always appreciated President Museveni and his NRM government. The first one, not the party, not the party, not the NRM party, but the NRM of the bus.
The one you were part
of the bus.
Before
Let me tell you, as a child, I grew up with a dream to stand up and fight for women and girls. If President Museveni and his government had never come here, I would never have realized that dream.
So women's emancipation.
Yes, and I have already said, look, that one high percent credit. Because now women, although they are still facing challenges that they are facing, but they are now treated like human beings in their own right, which was never the case at all. Which was never the case at all. That is one good thing. Even the people of disabled people. Now you see women contesting for elections. You see women in the market, international
big ones,
international business women. Had it ever been there? So these 35 of President Museveni's governance, really, at least that one good thing, I think. The only problem is that now the voice of the women swallowed. Matembe still, what about the people who are there, who should have replaced me, but this is because of undemocratic environment which has scared everybody, so they are no longer flourishing. And finally, You know, he was wondering why we have no leaders like us to take our place. One thing I want the Ugandans to listen to, because I went to Parliament, Kanyomozi was there, all of us, we were driven by service. When I went to Parliament, I didn't know that parliamentarians are paid. Because I had been a member of LOC 3 chair, vice chairperson, LOC 5 Kampala district, and I was using my money. I even got a loan from the bank to buy a vehicle and drive and the whole of Kampala, Mubende, everywhere, mobilizing women and that kind of thing. So when I went to Parliament, I went to stand up on decision making, make issues, espouse the cause for gender equality, and that was all. Then I found that there are also allowances. Now, what drives the people into leadership now? Almost all of them, it has turned into a job instead of service.
Unfortunately.
And that is the unfortunate part of it, and I don't know how we are going to change this, but with our God here, I end up by saying, I believe in God, and God has its own, everything has God's timing, and God is in control, and he has plans for Uganda, and at his own timing he will turn things around for us, and we shall be well.
Thanks a lot.
Ugandans,
Amen.
Go and vote. You know it is not by power, not by might, but by the Spirit of the living God, that this country will one day move on.
Thank you so much. Amen to that. Now, I'm sorry we have run out of time, but very important. We have an election tomorrow, today actually, early this morning, because we have entered midnight and it's already the 14th. But it's important I get, for our viewers out there, we get a message of peace from each of you to wind up, like in 30 seconds. So I'll start with, let me start with Ramadan, and then we end with Dr. Chigozi, the other side. Give a message to, whether it is to, you can choose whoever you want to send the message to, whether it is to the security people or to the young people, to the voters generally, and to every Ugandan.
Thank you very much, Charles. Fellow Ugandans, tomorrow is the day we have been waiting for in a long time. And this campaign has been difficult under the condition of coronavirus. Please, first and foremost, go and vote. Secondly, keep peace. Thirdly, keep safe against the COVID. Wear your mask, social distance. At the polling stations, protect the elderly. Make sure that you don't expose them to this COVID, because they are more vulnerable to this virus. Our grandparents, our parents, let them vote first, give them that social distance, but above all, ensure that you keep peace. Uganda needs peace, and this goes to all people of all kind, especially those who have the power of violence, the monopoly of violence, the security forces. Don't use excessive force against people. Guide them better so that we have a peaceful election and Uganda continues in under stability. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Gobi, Honorable Matembe.
Yeah, fellow Ugandans, I want to say that the word of God in Timothy says that God did not give us the spirit of fear. He gave us the spirit of love, courage, and discipline. May that spirit go into your hearts, so that as you go to the polls, first of all, don't fear. Have courage and go there. Secondly, have love and have self-discipline. And then in Philippians, again, God tells us, don't be anxious about anything, but in everything, with prayer, thanksgiving, present your request to the Lord, and then allow the peace of God, which passes all our understanding, guard your hearts. These are the words I'm telling to Ugandans, because I can assure you, without God, you cannot be at peace with yourself. You cannot be at peace with everybody. Allow the Spirit of God to be in your hearts and reign in your hearts and in your families, so that you can extend that peace, each of you individually, for tomorrow. And you people, security, security. You are supposed to keep our security. You have been harassing people. You've been injuring people. The blood of those people is crying to the Lord. Please, tomorrow, have discipline. Even if somebody tries to misbehave, I mean, you have the guns, they don't have the guns. Behave appropriately. You are not the first security people in this country, and you not be the last. Please allow Jesus to rule your hearts.
Honorable Yona.
For me, I'm appealing to the ordinary people, the Ugandans at large. Tomorrow is a decisive day. You can change the course of our history by using your vote very, very productively and very efficiently and very peacefully, so as to change the course of our history and the course, the direction this country is going to take. It's in your hands tomorrow. And you are given the right, I hope, tomorrow, you'll be given the right to go there. You will be there at the basin. It will be you and your God.
Yes.
To take that decision. Nobody should be looking over your head. If they have given you something, they will not be with you at the basin.
Eat it and vote.
Take it. It is after all yours. It is part of the taxes that you pay, either as VAT for the water you drink, or as direct tax if you are a big person, as income tax, as rental tax. You take a decision decisively on the basin between you, your God, for the benefit of this nation. Second, I'm appealing to the people with means of coercion, i.e. the army, the police, and other security organs, and partly including the RDCs, who at times direct how they see the security in the area. Please give the Ugandans a chance to exercise their right on this day of voting, so that they make a decision which will be neutral to all of us, but which will be decisive for our future.
Thanks.
Lastly, don't be scared. Go peacefully to the booth, make your decision, move out. If they insist that you must go away, go away. It doesn't pay you resisting people who have guns and batons. You go away, the decision will be made by the gods. The people of the Electoral Commission, be in charge. Don't neglect your work or delegate your work or let it be taken away by those who have means of coercion. You have a job to do, and if you deliver this election successfully, you will go in the history of this nation. Because as you know, all the elections we have had have been challenged in the courts of law. We hope this time we'll have elections which will be free, credible, and fair. The work is with the Electoral Commission, the job is with the electors, and we hope they will do so.
Thanks. Finally, thank you. Finally, Dr. Maggie.
My fellow Ugandans, let us vote tomorrow. Let us, all of us, vote tomorrow. Choose your candidate with recognizing what it is that you need from your candidate, and then go ahead and vote like you've been asked by my fellow panelists. You vote alone, and then you leave. They have also talked to securities. I will not repeat that, but only to ask the average Ugandan to not antagonize security either. They are human beings. Although they are professionals, they should be professionals and are taught how to handle this, but they're also human beings. So limit how much they are prodded and annoyed by actually following the few regulations that the Electoral Commission has put in front of us. You can ruin a whole election by causing chaos when it is actually your candidate that was going to win, and maybe the whole election gets cancelled. So since we do not know today, before you all drop your ballot in, who is winning, can we wait? And we be patient. Let us have peaceful elections so that Uganda knows who the next president will be. I hope God will intercede on behalf of Ugandans for a peaceful and also a good event ending, that we will be able to move forward as a nation. Elections are held every 5 years. So this one, this particular one, 2021, in the presence of COVID right now, does not mean the end of anyone's life if they did not win. Those of us who have lived for many years know there's another election, there's another time for things to change around in your favor, and there's time to work on 2026. So, ladies and gentlemen, Ugandans, let us have peaceful elections. Let us choose our leaders. Let us invite God to work with the Electoral Commission and give us the kind of election that we want to see. Thank you, Charles.
Thanks a lot, Doctor. Thanks a lot, Honorable Yona. Thanks a lot, Dr. Matembe, and thanks a lot to Mr. Gobi. And I just want to add my thoughts to what has already been said. Fellow Ugandans, today is a big day, and the 14th of January 2021, it's a day of election. Let's have a peaceful election. And to the youth especially, I want to urge you and appeal to you to safeguard your life. And I always tell the young people that you can achieve anything in life. We have seen incredible from grass to grace achievements of leaders from nothing when they are young to, being the greatest leaders on earth. And it all comes from staying alive. So avoid any situation that can endanger your life, and ensure that you keep alive. And it's important we behave like gorillas. Gorillas believe that when they are alive is when they will achieve the next day's success. So let's keep alive and ensure a peaceful election tomorrow. But the most important partner in this election is really the Electoral Commission. Please, be in charge and do the best. Mr. Byabakama, be in charge and let people then see you by your by the fruits that you deliver. Otherwise, to all the candidates, it has been good, 11 of you. We thank you, we congratulate you, we thank God that you participated in this election. And from the team here at Behind the Headlines, the technical team, the team of producers, we want to thank you so much for being with us. This will be a hub for analyzing the elections until from immediately after the voting has ended at 4 today until the election results, and we will be here with you every day, every hour, every night until the day that the results are released. We will be doing the analysis and the updates from here. So keep with UBC and keep with us. We will be back here. I will be with you on some of the analysis, and we will be talking together some of the issues as they happen. Until tomorrow, bye-bye. God bless you, and stay safe. Avoid COVID. Thank you.